Are you living your life for yourself or for others? These are tough questions. We rarely stop and ask ourselves. We get lost in the daily hustle, work, family, responsibilities. It's easy to just go through the motions, but does this easiness truly make us happy? As we follow the same routine every day, how much do we listen to our inner voice? But are you truly happy? Do you define your happiness, or is it shaped by the expectations of others? Or are you living someone else's dream? Where are your own dreams? A striking statistic: most people spend 70% of their lives trying to please others. This means we shape a large part of our lives according to the expectations of others. Think about it, 70%. This means we are shaping a large part of our lives according to others' expectations. This means you spend a large part of your life seeking approval, trying to fit in, trying to make everyone happy. But what about you? Where is happiness? But what about you? Where is your own happiness? From a young age, we are taught to be good and kind. From a young age, we are taught to be good and kind. We learn that pleasing others is the key to acceptance and love. Share your toys, they say. Be polite, don't complain. Be polite, don't complain. This advice is well-intentioned, but it can have unwanted consequences. We internalize these messages, and in this process, we forget who we are and what we want. We start to believe that our worth comes from the approval of others. We are afraid to say no. We are afraid to disappoint. We are afraid to be ourselves. And in the process, we forget who we are and what we want. And in this process, we forget who we are and what we want. Instead of living our own lives, we start living the lives of others. To break this cycle, we first need to know ourselves and discover what we want. The need for approval is a trap. It's a cycle we fall into without even realizing it. As we strive to get everyone's approval, we drift away from our true selves. Trying to be what others want is a never-ending cycle. Every day we put on different masks to meet other people's expectations. These masks hide our true selves and wear us down, and it's exhausting. It's time to break free. It's time to discover our true selves and embrace them. This is the first step to freedom. It's time to start living a life true to ourselves, not according to others' expectations. Living by our own values and beliefs is the key to true happiness. Social media has increased this pressure to conform. Every day, we're faced with images of perfect lives. We're bombarded with images of perfect lives, perfect bodies, perfect families, perfect vacations. It's easy to get caught up in the comparison game. These images only show a small part of real life. It's easy to feel like we're not good enough. This feeling damages our self-esteem and pulls us in even deeper. We curate our online personas to project an image of success and happiness. We post our accomplishments, our vacations, our perfect families. But this doesn't reflect true happiness. But behind the filters and carefully crafted captions, there's often a different story. Real life is much more complicated than what we see on social media. A story of insecurity, self-doubt, and a constant need for validation. These feelings take us further away from our true selves, and a constant need for validation. Breaking free from this cycle is possible by staying true to our own values and beliefs. This pressure to conform extends beyond the digital world. We see it in our workplaces, our communities, even our families. We feel the pressure to fit in, to follow the rules, to not cause trouble. But it's possible to find our own path and break free from these pressures. Think about your own life. How much of it is truly guided by your own wants and desires? How much of it is shaped by the expectations of others, your family, your partner, your friends, your colleagues? They all have expectations of you. These expectations can sometimes be so heavy that you can forget your own desires. It's easy to fall into the trap of trying to please everyone. This can put you in a constant cycle of stress and dissatisfaction. But if you're constantly trying to meet someone else's expectations, it's impossible to live a fulfilling life. You put your own happiness and satisfaction on the back burner. I once knew a woman named Sarah. Sarah was a talented artist. She had the ability to capture the beauty of the world around her in her paintings. However, Sarah rarely painted because her family wanted her to choose a more secure career. So Sarah's brushes often gathered dust. She had put her art aside. She had a good job, a stable relationship, and a comfortable life, but she wasn't happy. She felt a void inside. She wasn't living the life she truly wanted, but the life her family envisioned for her. Sarah's story is not unique. Many people face a similar situation. Many of us sacrifice our dreams and aspirations to meet the expectations of others. This can lead to inner conflict and dissatisfaction. We choose careers that will make our families proud, even if they don't align with our passions. This can make us unhappy in the long run. We stay in relationships that don't serve us because we're afraid of disappointing our partners. This can hinder our personal growth and happiness. Social media makes this pressure to fit in even stronger. It's a highlight reel of everyone else's best moments, and it's easy to get caught up in the comparison game, to feel like our own lives are falling short. We scroll through our feeds, seeing pictures of exotic vacations, perfect families, and successful careers, and we start to feel inadequate. We wonder why our lives aren't like that. We start to feel like we're not good enough. But social media isn't real life. It's an edited version of reality. People only post the good stuff. They don't post their struggles, their insecurities, their failures. And as a result, we get a distorted view of what life is really like. Chapter 5. A Life Half Lived. The artist Sarah finally reached her breaking point. She realized she was living a life filled with quiet desperation, a life that looked good on paper but felt empty inside. She was tired of ignoring her own needs and desires, tired of living for everyone else. So Sarah made a change. She quit her job, ended her relationship, and moved to a new city. It wasn't easy. She faced criticism and judgment from some people, but she also found support and encouragement from others. Most importantly, Sarah found herself. She started painting again. She took risks, she made mistakes, and in the process, she discovered a strength and resilience she never knew she had. Chapter 6. The Price of Freedom. Financial freedom is really important for living life on your own terms. When you depend on others for money, you're tied to their expectations. You might feel pressured to stay in a job you hate, live somewhere you don't like, or stay in relationships that don't work for you anymore. Financial independence gives you the freedom to make choices that are good for, even if they aren't what other people would choose for you. It gives you the power to say no to things you don't want to do, and yes to the things that excite you. Chapter 7. The Power of No. Saying no is one of the most powerful things you can do for yourself. It's a way to set boundaries and protect your time and energy. It's a way of saying, I am important and my needs matter. If you're used to pleasing people, saying no might feel uncomfortable at first, but it gets easier with practice. Start by saying no to small things, then gradually work your way up to bigger requests. Chapter 8. Finding Your Voice. Finding your voice is all about figuring out your values, beliefs, and what's important to you. It's about being clear on what matters to you and what you stand for. When you know your values, it's easier to make choices that match them. Start by asking yourself some tough questions like, what do I value most in life? What kind of legacy do I want to leave? What am I willing to fight for? The answers to these questions will help you define your values and live a more authentic life. Chapter 9. Taking Back Your Life. Remember Sarah? She didn't just wake up one day and suddenly have everything figured out. It was a process, a journey of self-discovery, and it's a journey we can all take. Here are 4 steps to help you get started. First, identify your people-pleasing patterns. What are the situations or people that trigger your need for approval? Once you're aware of your patterns, you can start to change them. Second, start saying no more often. It's okay to decline requests that don't align with your values or priorities. You don't have to explain yourself or apologize. Third, be clear about your values. What's important to you? What do you stand for? When you know your values, it's easier to make decisions that are in line with them. And finally, take action. Don't wait for permission or approval from others. Start living life on your own terms. Chapter 10. A Life Worth Living. Living a life true to yourself takes courage. It means letting go of the need for other people's approval. It means accepting your flaws. It means taking risks and being vulnerable. But it's also the most rewarding way to live. When you live authentically as you are, not as who you're pretending to be, you attract people who love and appreciate you. You give yourself permission to follow your passions and live a life full of joy, meaning, and purpose. So take a chance, be yourself. The world needs your unique talents and skills.